Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about the books that I read in July, so let's jump in. So for the month of July, I read a total of 9 books, and I found that I am in like my cozy mystery era because I have devoured some coziness this month. I'm trying not to like spin around on my chair. Which is really hard because I move a lot. I've discovered this love of cozy mysteries that I had no idea needed to be unleashed. We'll talk about those books a little bit later on in the video. Starting off, I finished finally Island by Richard Layman. I believe I started this last year and never got to finish it. It's an enjoyable book, but it was a bit dense and there was a lot going on. And I don't know why this happens to me, but every time I sit down to read a Layman book, it takes me forever. And I enjoy them, but somewhere along the way, they just become repetitive or boring, or it's dragged on too long, which is the case with this one. Here we are following Rupert, I believe his name is, and he is a 19-year-old. And he gets invited on this vacation with a girl that he's seeing. It's her family that's going on this vacation. Middle of their little boat escapade, they're off on this island and they see that their boat sort of gets blown up in the middle of the ocean, or wherever it is that they anchor down the boat. And there is somebody on the boat as it's being blown up. So they're all like wondering what happened. Well, little by little, there are murders happening on this island because now they're stranded. And it's just this mystery of who's murdering them, how did the boat get blown to pieces, and just the dynamics between this family. And we're seeing this all through the eyes of this kid, Rupert. When I say horny little bastard, this is the kid. There is a lot of boob looking, talking about women's bodies. That kind of stuff doesn't bother me, but I know a lot of people don't like that. There is a lot of that in here. Besides those points that are very sexual for him, it's just fun following him around. He's keeping an account of things in a journal. He's just writing little bits every single day of just the shit that's happening on this island and the dynamics, again, between the families. So it was a very fun read. It got really weird there for a point. It had the repetitiveness that I was talking about earlier and the boring parts. The last quarter of the book, the setting sort of changes. They're still on this island, but there's like there's sort of like the shift change in the setting, which was kind of weird. This one was so much fun, and I'm just glad that I got to finish it this year after waiting a whole year for summer to come to finish this book. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. The hype is real. It was real for me. I freaking loved this damn book with all of my soul. I know I'm being a bit dramatic, but honestly, I love it so much. This was an impromptu buddy read that I decided to do with my friend Joyce. We were messaging and she was talking about that she wanted to read this. And I remember seeing people talking about it. I mean, everybody was hyping this book up and I wasn't really planning on reading it. So I was just seeing what everybody was saying about it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm glad everybody's enjoying this book, but I wasn't planning on reading it. My friend Joyce was like, this is a mix. People are saying it's a mix between Harry Potter and, but with dragons. And I was like, what? And so I was just like, you know what? Let's buddy read it. Let's do it. So happy that I did. I ended up listening to the audiobook because when I decided to read it with my friend, it was sold out everywhere. And if you went on Amazon, it wasn't going to be shipped until the end of August. And I'm like, what is going on with this book? Y'all, this was so fun. I laughed, I cried, I felt butterflies, I cringed a lot. This book is not perfect. It has a lot of cringe moments. The romance in this book is so freaking cringy. It wasn't cringy enough to make me stop reading. In this book, we follow Violet Sorrengail, and she is set to go to school to learn or to further her career in scribe. She is like very smart. She loves reading. She loves books. That's the trajectory that her life has taken. But there's been a shift, and now she is going to school to learn how to be a dragon rider. And that's what this book is all about, is just this school and this class and these group of people that are learning how to ride a dragon. They are going to be soldiers, and they have to sort of connect with a dragon. The whole ceremony of them going to see the dragons, like the first time we see the dragons, is so wonderful. I loved the whole ceremony that they go through to sort of pair up with their dragons. It's vicious. I loved the whole testing that they had to go through. And of course, Violet, which is our main character, as I said already, she is like the one. She's tiny. She considers herself weak. She doesn't see herself really making it past the trial or the test to get into the school. And obviously with the way the novel is set up, you know that she obviously makes it, and she makes it into the school. And just seeing her journey through this whole thing was just wonderful. But my favorite part of this whole entire novel, and the reason why I want to read it again, is for the dragons and the dragons alone. Their dialogue, their connections, what they're going through. It's just, they are the funniest, and they are the moments that I feel the most, or the moments that I felt the most while I was reading this book. The connection between the riders and the dragons as well, and their dialogue. Loved this so much. I want to reread it because, like I said, I listened to the audiobook, and there's so many things that I want to tab, and I just want to experience the book all over again. So before book 2 comes out, I do plan on rereading this beautiful gem of a book. I loved it so much. 5 freaking stars. I finally read another Brian Keane book. I read Dark Hollow, and this one was weird. There are some weird scenes in here that I'm like, whoa, buddy, what is this? It's a pretty interesting story. For some reason, I haven't rated it yet. I think that when I finished it, I wasn't sure if I liked it or if I didn't like it. This is basically, I don't want to say too much. I mean, obviously with the cover, you can sort of tell. I don't want to say too much because in the back of the book, the synopsis is very vague. And I think that this is a story that you should really go in blind because it's kind of bizarre. This has to do with this couple. They live on the edge of a forest or like a wooded area. They're going through troubles. She just lost a baby, if I'm not mistaken, and they're struggling through that. One day you're following our main character, Adam Sempt, and he is a novelist. He stays home, he writes his novels. He's sort of having like writer's block. So he decides one morning, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna clear my mind. I'm gonna take my dog out, and we're just gonna go walking, and you know, I'm gonna clear my head. Well, he stumbles upon the woods because there is some like music playing, some eerie piping music coming from the woods, from the forest. He goes and he's following the music, and he stumbles upon this scene in the woods, which I won't get into because it's not here. This is all in the synopsis. That's all it says, that he stumbles upon a scene, which, you guys, WTF. And ever since that, women start going missing in this town that he lives in. That's called Leehorn's Hollow. Women start missing, and there's just evil forces at play, and they're trying to beat this evil force. There were scenes that I was just like, what is going on here? Why is this happening? It was an interesting tour, but it was such an interesting and fun story. That's what this was. It was just utter fun. I don't know if I want to give it 3 or 4 stars. I just might end up giving it 3.5. I usually don't give half stars, but I'm so unsure of what to give this that I think I'm gonna land in the middle. But it was fun. It was well written. I love Keane's writing. And I'm gonna tell you, I've never read a story like this. I mean, it's not like outlandish or like, oh my God, what a creative novel. But I haven't read anything like this. I really enjoyed that original aspect of this. If you have read this and you know what it's about, and you know of other books that are like this, let me know, because I'm very interested in reading more of this craziness. I'm telling you, I am making my way through my currently reading shelf. I had a few summer reads from last year, and I've just been like, bam, bam, knocking them out. Sallow. I started this one last year by Alan Baxter, and I finally finished it. This is such an atmospheric read. I usually find that Baxter's writing is very, very atmospheric, and that's what this book was. The storyline gets a little bit weird, it gets a little bit muddled, but the atmosphere really carries this book. This book is following the disappearance of two girls. Every so often, children start going missing in this town. And so lo and behold, the carnival comes into town, they're setting up everything. And right before the carnival is set to open, these two girls go missing. They're on the look for them. Obviously, they're questioning the carnival, but the carnival is well known in this area. It's expected every year or however often it comes. They have a good standing with the people in the community, the people in the carnival, I mean. But obviously, when the girls go missing, they come questioning. And so they all band together, the carnival and the community, to go find these girls. Well, the girls turn up, but something comes along with them. And it was a very interesting read. And with it being so atmospheric, it did read slow a bit at times. I will say that the villain in this one really creeped me out, just because the evil in this is surrounding kids. So it's very interesting to see like the killings in the book and then the connection with the carnival. I loved the carnival so much. You only get to see the carnival a couple of times, but I love stories that have carnivals in it. I feel like it's so summer and it's so fall. And it's like the perfect transition from summer to fall. So if you're still looking for like a summer read, but you want to have those fall vibes as well, because of the atmosphere in this one, I think it'll give you a little bit of both. If you're just looking for those reads ready to transition to the next season. I know that everybody raves about this book, but why didn't anybody force me to read this sooner? I've owned this book forever. Is a series, but I've owned this book forever. I've always heard how great it is, but I don't know why it took me so long. But holy cannoli, oh, phenomenal. Sure, you know what this book is about, but this is a book of this man that kidnaps girls and has his own little beautiful butterfly garden just off of the property of his mansion, like on his property where he lives with his family. He has this little greenhouse where he has kidnapped girls that he tattoos with butterflies and just keeps them there. It's really weird. It's really creepy. It's really unsettling. That's what this is. It's not necessarily creepy because there's not a creepy element to this, but it's just unsettling. These girls have been saved. They have been found. Now we're hearing the story through interviews that they have done, specifically with the main girl, with the girl that was like the mama hen of the group, but also through accounts of the other girls. You learn about everything that they went through in there and just how they dealt with everything. There's twists and turns, and this was just so fantastic, so well written. I cannot wait to jump to book 2. I felt so many things with this book. If you had that same, I mean, it was weeks. I'm still thinking about this book, but it was like, I don't know, a week or 2 after I finished reading this, and it's all I could think about. I could just feeling all the emotions that I felt reading it. It just lingered with me. This was friggin' fantastic. 5 friggin' stars, all the stars, 100 stars, because I loved it. Fantastic. This was great. This Delicious Death by Kayla Cottingham. This was fun. It was different. It was action-packed at times. I loved the setting of it. And this is a YA book, which it's been a while since I've really loved a YA book. There's gonna be another one in this video, which I also absolutely loved. I guess spooky and YA just really, really work for me. Here we are following 4 characters: Zoe, Celeste, Valeria, and Jasmine, and they are going on their first road trip. They live in California. They're going out to the middle of the desert because they're attending their first music festival. They're all getting ready. We're picking people up. We're doing a little road trip. And on the road trip, we are starting to have flashbacks from one of our characters. And we learned that 2 years prior to that date, the world was just hit with this bizarre thing, which they started calling the hollowing. I was trying to say that sentence, calling the hollowing, and I just couldn't get it out. And basically what happened is part of the population turned into human flesh-eating people. People who turned, if they did not get human flesh, they would go feral. Like just, they would turn on anybody and just eat and lose their minds. So then the government comes out with this fake meat to sort of, first off, keep the population that didn't turn safe, and also to find a way to safely feed these new people. And so obviously picture that these 4 girls are going to this music festival. They're all hollow girls, and God knows how many more people at this music festival are hollow people. Is that what they're called? Hollow people? I don't think so, but let's just call them that. Obviously shit happens. One of the girls eats a boy at the music festival. She goes feral. And shit just goes crazy because there's lies and conspiracies and dark secrets that come out to the light. It was so fun. I loved the setting. I loved the story. The details in the hollow people or the hollowing are incredible. I loved how we were fed the story with the flashbacks. The writing here was phenomenal. I loved it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars. If you haven't read this one yet, and you're sort of like iffy because it's YA, go ahead and go for it. I thought it was fantastic, and I hope you love it if you haven't read it. If you have read it, let me know. Let me know what you thought. So like I said earlier in the video, I am like in my cozy era. All of a sudden, I want to read all the cozy mysteries. And maybe not all the cozy mysteries, but there's this one specific series that just like got hold of my heart and just ran with it, and I am loving it so much. I'm actually pausing on the series right now because the next book in the series has like a very autumn feel and a very spooky feel to it. It has pumpkins, if I'm not mistaken, and so I'm holding off until October, but I am craving and going through cozy mystery withdrawals. And the series that I am talking about is, what is it called? The Lighthouse Library Mystery. I've listened to these books on audio. I don't physically own them. I stumbled upon this book on Scribd, and I really liked the cover and I loved the title, Death by Beach Read. And so I saw that it was part of a series, and this was book number 9, but I was like, you know what? Usually with these cozy mysteries, they don't follow like a timeline. And so I felt comfortable enough to jump into book number 9 without having read any of the other books. I loved it so much. Now, I did give this book 3.5 stars initially. I think I'm gonna change my rating to 4 stars because my love really grew with this book. So much so that I ended up going back to book 1 because I realized that it in fact does follow a timeline. With that being said, you do not have to read this in specific order because you will get the gist of what you're reading in whatever book you start off with. The only reason why I say that it does follow a specific timeline is because our main character, Lucy, we do follow specific moments in her life that lead up to, you know, whatever the last book is. And so I'm not going to speak specifically on each book. I'm just speaking generally with this series. Overall, what's happening is there are, in each of the books that I have read so far, I've read 4, there's always a murder that happens around this library. And so we're following these murders, and Lucy works at the library. But get this. This is what gets me from this whole entire series. This library, what is this? What's going on here? What is this? The library is set in a lighthouse. That is like perfection for me. And not only is this library set in the lighthouse, now we have changed the hand motion, but it is set in the Outer Banks of North Carolina. So like the coast of North Carolina. Look, perfection. All of that right there is perfection. Lucy is a librarian. She actually lives in the apartment on top of the library. She talks about how her apartment is super small, but she's so happy with her life. She works as a librarian in this town, in the Bodie Library, or the Bodie Town Library, and just her life is just so sweet and magnificent. But it wasn't always like that. She actually ran from her previous life where she was set to marry somebody. It's somebody that she grew up with. She grew up with money, and her family and the other guy's family always said that these two would be married together. But deep down, she was never in love with this guy, and this guy was never in love with her. They were just doing it because it was what they were supposed to be doing in their circle. She finally like just opened her eyes and decided to leave everything and move to this coastal town in North Carolina, where she is now, works as a librarian. So each one of the books has that sense of library, of a reader's heart. She is a complete bibliophile. They're in one of the books, and I can't even remember which book it was because, like I said, I read 4. I read 2 in July and I read 2 in August. But in one of the books, for example, one of the things is that they have a Jane Austen exhibit, and they get these first printing books loaned to them. So they have people coming in this summer from all over the place just to see these books. And so there are all these like bibliophilic, is that a word? No, these bibliophile moments that you truly cherish and that you connect with Lucy with. And then you have your mysteries, and you see her sleuthing around and trying to figure out how these deaths happen. It can get a bit repetitive and a bit of like, I had a lot of like eye-rolling moments with our main character, but it's just part of the story. It makes it quirky. I love all the characters. There are some characters that I hate, but I love at the same time. Like, I hate them because of what they do in the book, but I love them because they're just part of the story and part of Lucy's journey. I have read books 1, 2, 3, and book 9, obviously, which is what I started the series off with. I am obsessed with this series. If you love cozy mysteries, then you might want to check this one out. Like I said, book 4, which is the next one up, has a very autumn feel to it. So I'm going to be waiting till October to read that one, but I'm itching to continue on. There's also a cat character in this damn book, which is so cute. I'm usually a dog person, but I love all animals, and just seeing her with Charles, which is the cat, is just so amazing. And seeing how it's evolved from book 3 to book 9 with some of the characters, with her love life with the cat and her life now, it's just so amazing. So like I said, I did read Death by Beach Read, which is book 9, in July, and I also read book 1, which is called By Book or By Crook, and both of them 4 stars. Loved them. Again, if you're looking for a good cozy mystery set in a coastal town, I think it's perfect for summer. Check this series out because I think you would enjoy it. And then the last and final book that I read, which actually wasn't the last book was book 1 in the Lighthouse series, Mystery Lighthouse, whatever the series I just talked about. I actually read this book prior to the last book, but You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight. This was so fantastic. I was floored. Sorry for the glare. I was floored with how much I enjoyed this one. YA really just knocked it out of the park with these summer releases, these spooky summer releases. Here we're following a camp. Listen, I was in such a campy mood this summer. I wanted to read all the spooky campy books. I didn't get to read a lot, but this definitely made up for everything that I didn't get to read as far as those campy vibes go. But here we are following our main character, and of course, I forgot the name of the character. Charity, and she has the summer job of her dream. She goes to this, it's a camp. It used to be a camp, but they've repurposed this location and this property to like a horror movie simulation. I hope I got that across right. But her job is, this year, she is finally the final girl of the whole production. And so people pay to come here and get scared, and there's always just one survivor left. Like one person that wins the whole simulation. And so she's excited because this year she is the final girl. She's setting everything up. The owner of the place is sort of like just never comes, basically trusts Charity to run this place inside and out. He really trusts her, but obviously there are secrets behind this property or this location, and these secrets come out one night and they find themselves in the midst of a serial killer. So she is really playing up to the role of final girl now. So they're trying to figure out what is going on. Obviously secrets, evil forces, and all the big shebang. I honestly thought this was gonna be a 5-star read. It only made it to 4-star, and only made it to 4-star. This got 4 stars. It was a high up there 4 stars. There was just, I'm glad there was a moment that I thought this book was headed somewhere where I was like, really? Is this where we're going? And I sort of felt like a disappointment settled in. Luckily enough, it did not go there, but that little scare that it gave me for a moment there, oh, I thought it was gonna be such a disappointing read. I really loved the ending and how it wrapped up. This is a fantastic read if you're just looking for a quick, spooky YA book with a lot of action and a lot of spooky, like foresty, dark, spooky moments. I think you would have a good time with this one. It wasn't the perfect book, but it really did something for me. This was fantastic. 4 stars. So that's it, you guys. Those are all the books that I read for the month of July. Let me know if you've read any of these books and your thoughts, or if you've added any of them to your TBR. Let's chat books in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.